Howdy y'all, welcome to Wrench with John, and my name is John. Today we're going to be doing some work on our 1979 Mustang pace car here. First things first, we're going to actually change the oil today. The last time the car was registered was in 1999 in Pennsylvania. So I think the car's been off the road for about 26 years now. That's a long time, and I'm assuming nobody has changed the oil since then. So it's going to be quite an adventure today and not your standard oil change. But first we got to do a couple things. We got to get some gloves on, got to get some eye protection on. We also have to just do a general clean around the car. I did brakes recently, bled the brakes, so all that fluid came out of those bleeders and all over the floor. So I've had oil dry on it ever since, and I kind of need to get that out. But while we're cleaning up, I'm going to actually run the car, get the oil warm. That way all the stuff in the heads and inside the block moves around, frees up, and flows real nice for us out of the pan. So stay tuned. Now it's time to start the car, get it warmed up so all that oil is flowing real nice. First thing we got to do is hook up our battery here. Let's see, now I got to get the key. I want to crack the door open. All right, throw the key in. Get out my, as Vice Grip Garage calls it, get out the old Lone Wolf 9000 or something is what he says. All we're gonna do here is we're going to hook, just hit my head. You know what, let's get a cover for that. Got some right here. That fender's nice and protected. We'll just do it to the other side prematurely. Come on, give me that. Come on, get. Thank you. Okay. We'll have a nice protected fender. All this is a switch. Click that, this lead makes connection with this lead essentially. So what we need to do, we put one of these to the hot on the battery. We're gonna hook up to this little S post on this solenoid here. And all this is gonna do is gonna put power to the switch to kick on the starter and crank over the engine. Simple as that. Okay, and now we should have crankage. Sure do. All right, so with that done, now we need ignition. So we get ignition by simply turning our key over. That buzzing sound means, well, that means that it's ready to start. Oh, there it goes, went away. Door open so we don't get fumigated in here and fall over and bad things happen. So, you know, I should have taken the air cleaner off, but let's see. Pump it a couple times. Probably have to crank it a couple times and pump it, or, you know, mess with the throttle to get it going. Okay. Blowing a little smoke. I mean, it is an old car, so Rings are probably getting down there. I'll have to perform a compression test at some point, but I mean, it sounds really good. Bring in here. A little shaky. I mean, nothing really to be afraid of on a 45-year-old car, 46-year-old car. Some baby pumps, get her going. After a little bit, we should have her up in the air. The plug is on the driver's side of the engine, so might try to have it tilt towards that driver's side just to drain as much as I can out of it. Okay. Grab our jack stands. And where you want to go with these, on Fox bodies at least. Yeah. See, we'll probably have to go higher, so we probably have to go higher with the jack, so we're higher on that side, giving us that little bit of a tilt that we want. So let's see. Just gotta keep an eye on our jack stand there until we think we can get a tooth on the other side. Yeah, let's try that. Grab our other one here. Avoid that. Just some water right there. Perfect. So that's a little bit higher than the other side. You can't tell, but trust me. So now let's lower this thing down, nice and easy. Actually, the first time I'm using this little Daytona jack. I want to do it with two hands. Okay. Down she goes. And voila. Yank this guy out. Oops. Impale myself. I love the big wheels on this thing. It rolls over literally anything. I mean, it was in a pile of oil dry. Didn't even flinch. All right, let's get a pan, get our creeper, and start wrenching. All right, got the old trusty pan. Stick that underneath there. Get on our creeper. Got the light as well. Oh man, all right. I kind of expected that. Probably rear main. Hard to say. Oof, okay. She's a little wet. A little bit more wet than I'd like. Clean everywhere else though. Oh, this has grease fittings, nice, okay. All right, well, let's start to undo this guy and see what we got. All right, now it's time to play. What size wrench is that? 16 or 17, but it could be standard. But they did have, back in the day, well, this car had metric tires from the factory. Can't remember the tire size off of my head, but they were Michelin TRXs, and I'll put the tire size below here. But, I mean, crazy, crazy size for this car. But I put those late model restoration wheels on them, on this car, so. All right, so I went with the 17. That's wrong. Let's go for the 18 and 19. But yeah, back to the tires. A set of reproduction ones today from Coker Tire are like $1,200. I mean, crazy money for those tires. I was able to get different wheels, well, reproduction wheels, and the Kenda tires for less than those Cokers alone. Oh, there we go, we're getting a little bit. All right, wait, I gotta figure out how to, yeah. Last time I drained some oil with this thing, I forgot to take this little cap off. And that was a problem. I had to stick my hand in some gear oil, which was a blast, I will tell you. There it goes. Fire in the hole. Definitely old oil, for sure. I'm gonna pop this, probably. Yeah, there she goes. All right, cool. Definitely not the right drain plug either, I don't think. Could be wrong though, but yeah, maybe, I don't know. Looks like a cutoff bolt. I'm gonna go crack the oil cap loose. Ah, no, it's fine. I mean, the oil looks okay. It just looks old. Like I said, the last time this oil's probably been changed is 1999 or so. Last time it was registered in Pennsylvania. So, yeah. I'll let this drain out here for a minute and then we'll pop this filter off. So one thing that we can do while our oil is still dripping out of our pan is we can open our Chilton's book here for 1979 automotive service. This has pretty much every brand at the time. Flip to the fluid capacities, coolant, fuel, and lubricant page for full-size Ford and Mercury. We hop down to 1979. Let's see if I can get a better shot here. Hop down to 1979. It says 8302 up here, which is number of cylinders and the displacement, with the VIN code F for the engine. And up here we have engine crankcase, add 1 quart for new filter. So we take 4 quarts plus 1, that's 5 quarts. And I know this, but if you check the VIN, this second F here, not sure if you can really see that. Yep, that second F is indicative of 8 cylinders and a 302 displacement engine. So looks like we need to add 5 quarts because we are going to be replacing this old filter, as you can see there. And the filter that I have is pretty much just the same one. It's from Napa. My dad had it laying around because he would always wrench on cars as well. So just gonna throw it right next to each other. Looks about the same to me. And what can I say, better than what was on it. So let's pop this filter off. I think the oil pan's done draining, and let's finish this oil change up. Let's see, let's take a look at our copper washer here. Looks like it has a little bit of RTV on it. I'm gonna go the unconventional route. So let's actually hop to my computer and let's design a little washer to make sure that this thing doesn't leak more than it should. Come on, let's go. So I said we need to make a washer and a seal, basically. There are 3 major things that we need to consider when making this. We need to consider the material that we use. That's number 1 priority. Second, we need to consider the inner diameter of the screw and the outer diameter, as well as the thickness. Okay, I guess that's 4 things. I'm really good at counting. So I've decided to use a material called thermoplastic polyurethane, which is TPU. And this is a flexible material that I actually used on the EGR seal that I had talked about in my first video. So basically what we need to do now is get this copper washer off. So there's a little bit of, let's see if it'll focus here. That black stuff is RTV from the previous installation of this copper washer. And it's kind of a little bit flexed as well. So that's telling me that it was not providing a good seal. So what we need to do, kind of hurt myself in terms of camera placement because my scrapers are in a drawer that is blocked by my camera. So, well, we can just worry about that after. Basically, what we want to do is we want to recreate this washer, and we can do so with a pair of calipers. But first, let me clean things up here so that we get as accurate of a measurement as possible. I know how to English. That's the wrong drawer. Let's see. Okay. So, pop open my caliper set here. All right. So you want to make sure to have your calipers zeroed out. Let's see a little. Come on, buddy. Well, you get the idea. Want to make sure your calipers are zeroed out. And then we also need a pen here. So I'm actually going to take measurements of the actual drain plug itself. So it looks like our outer diameter of the drain plug, so that's including the threads, is 0.493, 0.494. 0.494 is the outer diameter of our drain plug. Now, what the heck going on? What the heck? All right, just measure twice, design and print 11 times. All right, so I don't know why my calipers were reading 10 thou high. All right, so there must have been, yeah, it looks like there was a little burr or something on this drain plug here. So that doesn't really matter as much as our thickness. Well, I mean, I guess they all kind of matter a lot. So let's not screw that up. So let's see. We'll just call it 0.495 is our OD. So we'll write down, we'll just kind of draw our rough washer here. So the OD of our screw is going to be the ID of our washer seal thing. So I'll do 0.49. Actually, you know what? Let's just do a flat 0.50 inches. That way we get a little bit of a loose fit on the actual plug itself, so it slips on nice and easy. Now for our OD, all we do is we'll take, actually, you know what? We'll use the copper washer. We'll use the copper washer for the OD. That way it has a pretty large crushing surface area, you know, using this entire washer for that. So it looks like the OD of our washer, let's see if it focuses, come on. Okay, it's not gonna focus, that's fine, is 0.974 inches. So we'll do 0.97 inches. That way, it's a little bit smaller than this washer, and then it'll be able to just kind of crush and expand out. So now, the next thing is our thickness. There are some limitations with thickness of filament 3D printing. That's because of your nozzle size, the type of filament you're using, things like that. So our thickness is actually going to be a little bit thicker than this washer here. And that's because we want it to be able to print more than just say 1 or 2 layers. We want it to actually kind of compress and crush and create that seal. So this is kind of just an off-the-cuff thickness here, but I'll just take my calipers and measure the washer till I think I have kind of the thickness I want. So let's call it, let's say 170 thou. So that's 0.t is our thickness equals 0.170 inches. So now all we need to do, one, we need to clean up this old copper crush washer. I don't know why the focus stops. We need to clean up this old copper crush washer. Then we need to take our measurements that we just took and put them on our CAD software, which is SolidWorks Maker. So let's hop down and do that. So now we're here in SolidWorks, and let's see, we gotta go File, New, and let's create this seal/crush washer. So I'll just use top plane here. And what we need to do is we need to create a circle here, which is our inner diameter. And then we need to go to our outer diameter. So now we just take those measurements that we took outside and we apply them here, 0.5. And then this is 0.97. And then all we got to do is we extrude it to a thickness of our 0.170. I'll go mid plane here. Bam. We have our crush washer. If we want to get fancy, we can add a little bit of chamfer here. Just a baby one. Just cuz. And then probably won't use it on the outside, actually, just because we don't want to have any possible seepage or tearing of the layers. So now let's save to this PC. We will save it to our 1979 Mustang area. And we'll call this oil pan crush washer. All right. And then we also have to save this as a printable file. What I like to do for more circular objects, I like to do a step file. It's pretty general. So I will export that as a step file. We will open our slicing software. And now let's put it in here on our build plate. So with 3D printing, the orientation is very critical. We need to place it on one of these faces. Does not matter which one. We can do that by simply clicking that face there using this function up here in Bamboo Studio. But as you can see, our material is tied to our #1 slot, and that is for PLA matte. So PLA is just kind of a general plastic, as I like to call it. It's kind of just pretty basic for some functional pieces, but mainly like models and just kind of desktop things. PETG is what I use for a lot of my structural components in everyday applications, outside, UV, exposure, things like that, weather related. ABS, kind of the same thing, a little bit more tough in the UV setting. But for this one, like I said, we're going to use our thermoplastic polyurethane, or TPU. So we'll just hit the #4 there, apply it to our part. And here, I think we want to have 0.61 or 0.16 millimeter layer height, and probably 2 walls. So basically the walls, if we slice it here real quick, our walls are indicative of the outer shell, basically. So here is the inside of our part, 1 wall and 2 walls, and again, 1 wall and 2 walls. So that being said, I think 2 walls is sufficient. Our infill now will change this pattern in here. So let's make this, let's make it 5% gyroid and see what that gives us. See, that's not very structural in my head. It'll crush too much and possibly split. So let's change that to 10. So 10% gyroid, in my opinion, looks pretty good. That's going to allow for us to somewhat crank down on this to form that seal against any uneven surfaces on our oil pan. So let's see, we're going with our 2 walls and our 10% gyroid. Top shell thickness, let's see how many layers we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or maybe it looks like it's 6. Let's turn these down to 4. Okay, maybe it went off its thickness. That's not as important, truthfully. It's such a small part. I'm not sure if I like that thickness. Here's what we'll do. We will make another one a little bit thinner, and then we will save it as a new part, 0.125 thick, save. And we also have to export this again as our step file. 0.125 thick, save it, okay. hop back to Bamboo Studio. We're gonna add our new part in. And again, we have to apply those same changes of orientation and material. Put it approximately there. So it looks like in about 20 minutes or so, we will have our 2 new crush washers to experiment with on our oil pan for our 1979 Mustang. So all I gotta do is hit print plate, recognize that it's gonna be that TPU material to the proper printer. Let's see, we'll do our auto bed leveling and flow dynamics calibration. I'll throw the time lapse on and we'll send it to the printer. All right, let's go take that oil filter off that I've been telling you about for the last 10 or 15 minutes. Okay, got our filter wrench, kind of a larger one because this filter's a little bit larger than your standard ones. Almost just took that plug off. That would not have been a good time. So let's see how well we can get soaked here. Okay. All right. Try to sneak this guy in somehow, some way, somewhere, some whatever. Let's see if we can just take it off by hand. Nope, no way, Jose. Okay, so we gotta sneak this guy in there somehow. Not gonna make it easy for us, that's for sure. Probably just over the top, huh? Yep, looks like that's what we need. But I put it on 180 degrees off. Let's correct that. Well, come on now. All right, let's try to reach up here and crack this guy loose. Okay, yep, nice and easy. Okay, should be hand loose now. We'll be able to finish the job without this wrench. Okay. Boop, boop. Okay. See how much oil I get in my armpit. There it goes. Caught it. I should have just ripped it right off. I kind of screwed up here. Oh, not terrible. Okay. All right. Yeah. This filter is, wonder if there'd be a way to date this. Be very curious. Well, all right, let's get a rag real quick. So what we want to do next is pre-lube our filter. So I'm going to use Rotella 1540. This is at the recommendation, implicit recommendation of Vice Grip Garage again. So I'm not going to run it in the engine forever. It's just to kind of clean it out as I run this, this oil. Got a little bit of corrosion on this filter, but anyways, it'll be fine for what we're using it for. I'm probably not going to drive the car too much this summer, but this is just to get it some nice fresh oil, some high quality stuff, help free up any, somewhat seized components, maybe piston rings, is to try to help that out. But like I said, not going to be running the car forever. I'll go back to, I think it's 1030 is the standard oil for these cars. I mean, pretty much whatever you throw in them nowadays, it'll be just fine, because it's such an old machine. But all right, so now what we got to do, got to pre-lube this as best we can. Now remember, our filter is at an angle, so we don't want to fill it all the way to the top because we'll just be wasting oil at that point. And our manual said to add 1 quart if you are adding a new filter as well. So we'll be sure to keep that in mind. But a little bit of this oil will be really nice to have in this filter. That way it doesn't have to build pressure and run it through there and then, all those lovely things. So, all right, let's go throw this back in the car. Okay, so looks like we got to clean that seal up there. Should have thought about that before I laid down. And remember, while we're doing this, our part is printing. So, I mean, it's like working overtime, working double time, really. Spray a little bit of solvent on there. Clean up that mating surface. And I mean, a bunch of brown stuff came off, so that's always a good sign. So now we gotta be really quick here and sneak this guy on before anything leaks out. Hopefully it fits. As you can see, I was extremely fast and absolutely nothing, and I mean nothing, leaked out of this filter. Yeah, okay. I wouldn't take that to the bank myself. Gonna tighten it up with this filter wrench here. Now you don't want to crank down on this because it'll be quite, I put it on 180 degrees off again. You don't want to crank down on this because it'll be quite a job for the next guy. And by the next guy, if you plan to keep a car, the next guy's you. So don't do yourself a, nice little fuel line pop off, that's cool. So don't do yourself a disservice, you know, just tighten it up properly. All right, so we kind of have a situation here. Let's see, what should I do here? Well, I need to get a flathead screwdriver to start because apparently that was not tight enough. But it kind of was, but oh well. All right. So what the heck? Why did that? Well, we might as well fix it now that we're here. Let's just see. Get that down here. Yeah. Loosen this guy up. Okay, that was a weird one. All right. Gotta get it over that little flared out area. Come on now. I know you want to do it. There we go. Come on. There we go. All right. So now let's tighten this some more than it was previously. That is one thing that I put on when I bought this car kind of right away was a fuel pump. It was pulling fuel actually, but the seal was bad, so I decided to just get a new pump. Okay. Well, that should be nice and tight. All right, back to the original problem. They couldn't really just, you know, help a guy out here and make it just make the sway bar a wee bit more out of the way. Okay, there we go. So this one has a date on top. Wonder if that other one does too. Probably not, because this is a Napa and that's a Motorcraft. One thing I did forget to do is lube up the seal surface on this filter, but you know what? For the amount of time I'll be running this oil, it's perfectly fine. So, all right, so hopefully our drain plug seal is just about finished up, and then we can reinstall our drain plug with that new part. What we can do now is just clean that crush washer off, that copper crush washer, and then our part should be done. All right, so let's take our copper crush washer, grab a is my scraper? Yeah, there it is. Okay, grab my scraper. Yeah, that's definitely, is that a, yeah, that's definitely, well now I don't know if that's a, no, that's gotta be RTV the way it formed around that, yeah. So. I lied to you. That is actually a seal on this crush washer. Wow. Okay. So that is actually a seal. Anyways, what I can do is I can try to get a washer for this because I'm going to put that new seal I made on anyways. And then, yeah, let's try that. Let's grab a washer. Let's see what size we can get out of here. Perfect size there. If this was RTV, I would have noticed on the pan as well, so that was my oversight. But at least we got to design our own part, and hopefully you guys will learn something about 3D printing a little bit, and that's obviously, there's more to come of that, for sure. Yep, because look at all those tiny little fingers in there. I don't know if you can see that, but it's actually holding this in. So if we find that our 3D printed part does not work, that's no problem. We can just get a new crush washer. Just have to do a quick remove and replace. Shouldn't be an issue at all. So, all right, let's go check on our part. Okay, a couple things. Got some good dinner in me, and I also got the 3D printed seal. So as you can see, it's flexible and it won't break, hopefully. So let's throw this on, fill it up with oil, see if it works. Okay, so let's take our drain plug, put our new crush washer over it, fits like a glove. Let's install this thing in the car and see what she does. So one thing that's imperative that we do is wipe off that sealing surface with our rag that we sprayed earlier. So let's take care of that right now. Okay, now let's install our drain plug and new seal. I'm not sure if there's a magnet on that or not. It doesn't look like it. Okay. You know what? I forgot to put that washer on to help spread the surface area of the crush washer. So let's just wipe this real quick before any more drains out. Oh, that's why I like these drain pans, because when you do that, it doesn't go in a pool of oil. Okay, let's tighten it up here. I'm willing to risk this for science. Getting pretty tight, okay. So if we zoom in here a little bit, notice how our outside washer is pressing in on our crush washer, therefore creating a seal. And we'll know for sure if it works when we put the oil in and run it a little bit. So I'm gonna move this out of the way. And next thing I'm gonna do is actually just clean this off here. because that'll tell us if it's rear main or if it's just, you know, from when this car, well, you know what? Since this car hasn't been moving and it still shows signs of oil residue, I want to say it's the rear main seal that's leaking, which makes sense. I mean, it hasn't been running a while and just sat for a long time. So that's just the, those are just the trials of war. So, okay, let's put some oil in this engine and fire it up, check our fluid on the ground underneath, see if we got any leaks, and should be good to go then. So I topped off our engine with about 4.5 quarts into it. Half a quart went into the oil filter that we just installed. Now let's fire this thing up and see how it sounds and make sure everything's good. No oil leaks underneath. And I think we're good to go then. So let's see, gotta grab my keys. Turn our ignition on. Nope. Oh, come on. Okay, got our lovely buzzer. See how she fires up. Sounds really good. It sounds better than it did, honestly. So I'm pretty pleased with that. It sounds better than I did before with that old oil, that is for sure. And oil change can make all the difference, really. So let's take a peek underneath and see if that seal is doing what it's supposed to that I made. And I'm pretty confident that it's gonna be fine. And after it runs for a little bit, circulates that oil, we'll let it all sit and drain back to the pan. Then we will check our dipstick, and I think we're good to go then. So as you can see, there's a drain plug with our custom 3D printed crush washer. Holding up just fine. I'll let it run here for a few more minutes, let oil circulate through the engine. And I think we're good to go. So the last thing that I'm gonna do in this video is I'm going to replace this old intake boot with our new one from late model restoration. So we can just, you know, yoink that one. It's kind of a tight fit, but I think we'll be able to make it work. Let's get our Lone Wolf 6000 or whatever out of the way. Take off and pull out our battery. Oh, goodness. Okay. So I don't think we're gonna be able to weasel it in here without taking off our actual air cleaner piping. So we'll just pop this wing nut off. Set this off to the side. Set that off to the side. Okay. Let's try to sneak it all on here together. Nice little pot there. Shove it there. Oh, she's a tight fit, that's for sure. That's okay though. Millimeters a mile, that's all that matters. So that's gonna help pull air from the outer worlds into the engine to help cool it better than what it's, you know, what's available to it currently. So all right, that's on there nice and tight. Another thing that we need to do eventually is check our coolant. We don't have any radiator leaks, knock on wood, luckily. But nothing is going into the overflow tank, which is over here. I'm not too familiar with this particular engine, but I mean, we don't have it. It's a simple machine. We don't have any coolant leaks from our water pump, no coolant leaks from the radiator. Probably just needs added to and, you know, added in the overflow tank. Whatever hosing needs replaced. No, actually, I'll just have to do a little bit more research on that, but I think we're fine with our coolant. I mean, you guys can let me know in the comments down below what I should be looking for on an older vehicle like this. I'm used to the newer ones, so it's a learning experience for all of us here. So I teach you something, you teach me something. I think we are good to go, actually. Last thing to do would be check the oil, but I'll just do that off camera. And I appreciate you watching this video. It helps a lot to leave a comment, leave a like, and of course, subscribe. And please be sure to check out my TikTok and also my YouTube Shorts, also at Wrench with John. So thank you very much for watching, and tune in next time. We'll see you.